as we get ready for spring, a lot of times we think we might need to buy one of those seed starting kits, but we've got some helpful ideas of using materials that you might find around the house, and this is kind of a fun way to get kids involved in starting those seeds also. So the first thing that we're going to look at recycling, again, a household item, is just plain old toilet paper rolls that we probably have a few of them. So what you're going to do is, these are perfectly sized for one seedling. So you'll just take some scissors and you'll cut about an inch up, and you'll make strips about half an inch around your paper towel roll. Now after you've done that, you see we've got the bottom kind of fringed, and we're just going to fold these in on themselves here, and that's going to make our bottom of our container. It doesn't have to be pretty or anything like that, and you might push it down a little bit just to make that crease a little bit better. So once we've got that established, we're just going to then fill it with some pre-wet seedling mix. Now seedling mix is a finer textured potting soil. It's a lot looser than your typical potting soil, and this allows those seedlings to easily emerge out of the soil there. We don't want to fill it all the way, that way we can still water it and not have to worry about our soil, our potting soil, or our seeds from running off the top. After that, we're going to then plant it. And we've got some cucumber seeds here we're going to plant. The nice thing with this is you can just write right on there what it is that you're planting, and you don't have to worry about using a label or something like that. So we'll go ahead and put about just one seed per toilet paper roll. Put it in there like that, cover it, and then we'll need to water it, of course. Now sometimes they can be a little awkward to stand up. They might kind of wobble a little bit, but one trick to do that is to use some twine or a rubber band and tie them up that way. You can see here we've just placed them in a dish, so we'll add a little water, and the paper towel roll will absorb that moisture as it's needed into the soil. Now another trick you could use is just plain old newspaper. So you're going to get a long sheet of the newspaper and fold it lengthwise in half. Then we also need just a regular can of soup, or any vegetable can will work. You're going to line up one end of that can, and you can see there's a little bit of a hangover there, which is what you want. Then we're going to roll our can up. Just that simple. We don't even need any tape or anything like that. We're going to fold that part that was hanging over. Again, this is going to create our bottom. Kind of smash that down a little bit to really get a good crease on it. Let our can fall out. Might have to pull it a little bit. Now you can see the edge is wanting to pull off a little bit, but what we're going to do is then actually fold it inward on the top. And again, this helps kind of keep that fold a little bit tighter there. You're just trying to create something that holds the potting soil. It doesn't have to be perfect. And again, it's a fun little craft project for kids to do. So once we've got that, we'll once again fill it with some potting soil. It helps to have your potting soil pre-wet, so that you know that it's nice and moist already going in. And on these, they're a little bit bigger, so you can plant 1 to 2 seeds if you want. We've got 2 little seedlings we're going to put in there. Just push those down. And again, you can put those in a tray or something to water them. You can see we've got several of them here that have sprouted quite nicely. And you'll want to make sure to put a label on that. The newspaper might not hold the print too well if you write it on the side, so you might include a label to put on those. Now the last thing that you can use is just a plain old paper egg crate. So a lot of times eggs come in these. The paper works better than the styrofoam because it'll break down and actually help soak up that water as you place it in water. So we're just going to fill each one of these cells with some potting soil again. This is the seedling potting soil. So it's a finer texture, and it's also pre-moistened for us. So we're going to fill each one of those cells Give it a little tap to shake that down in there. Now you'll notice these are a little bit smaller than some of the other pots that we've made. So really, again, we're only going to put one seed in each one of these cells. And they might not be able to grow quite as long in these before you want to pot them up into another container or transplant them outside. So now let's imagine they've germinated and they're growing, and we've got some over here actually that you can see have started growing. But what we're going to do is go ahead and cut these apart when we're ready to plant them. So we'll just go through here and cut each little egg portion apart. And you'll be able to just then plant that straight into the garden with your little seedling germinated. Now the nice thing about all of these paper-based products is the fact that paper is biodegradable. So you'll be able to just plant this container, the newspaper pots, the toilet paper roll, straight into the garden itself, and you won't have to worry about taking the transplant out of it. The one thing you want to be aware of is you always want to make sure that you're planting the seedling at the height that it was growing. So for instance, on our newspaper here, when we go to plant these in the garden, we want to plant them at the height that they're growing here, which means some of this newspaper might be exposed above the garden, and we're going to want to remove that a little bit because that can actually cause a wicking reaction around the roots and dry them out quickly as the wind evaporates the moisture out of the newspaper. So we'll just tear that down a little bit, plant it like this, and they'll be good to go. Now another thing that you might have that will work also for germinating seedlings are these take-home containers that you can get from fast food places and stuff like that. You can either put potting soil directly into this and sow your seedling that way, or you could put a pot in these and then put their moisture down here and allow it to soak up. Either way will work on these. If you plant the seedlings directly in here, you of course want to make sure that you poke holes in the bottom of it so that it allows for drainage, and then you're going to want to put something underneath that to catch that moisture as it drains out. The other thing is we've got to water all of these seedlings. So what's a fun way to make your own little waterer that's a delicate waterer for these little seedlings? And that's just as simple as getting a little drinking plastic bottle. And you want to make sure you've retained the lid, and we're going to punch holes, depending on how much of a flow you want, into each of the lids. So once we've got our holes punched and we've filled up our bottle with water, I'm just going to twist that lid back on there, and look at that. We've got a simple seed waterer at no cost at all. So this is a fun and easy way to start some seedlings around your house for just the cost of a packet of seeds and a few household items. You too can start plenty of seeds this season.
We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.